Major Ayla Rehman stepped onto the icebound shore of Little Diomede, her breath turning to mist as she stared across the frozen stretch separating yesterday from today. The Arctic wind hissed through the air like an unseen warning. She had been deployed on countless operations, deserts, forests, urban ruins, but never has she stood at a place where time itself split in two behind her. The helicopter rotors faded into silence, leaving her in a world of blinding white and absolute stillness. Her mission was simple on paper: investigate the disappearance of a Russian research team last reported near Big Diomede, yet nothing about this land felt simple. She lifted her binoculars, eyes narrowing at the distant silhouette of Big Diomede, an island locked in mist forever. One day ahead, locals had called it the land of tomorrow. Some claimed they had seen figures crossing the ice, walking from one day into the next and never returning. She dismissed it as myth until she saw them: footprints, two sets pressed into snow leading out onto the ice, one large, one smaller, both sharp, distinct, but then the smaller prints ended mid-stride, vanishing as if swallowed by the air. Ayla crouched, studying the trail, her disciplined mind searching for logic, but found none. A transmission had been recovered from the missing team, a final broken message: we saw someone walking from tomorrow. Then static. She rose, tightening her grip on her rifle, her instincts sharpened not by fear but by the unfamiliar sensation that something unseen was watching her. The Arctic did not breathe yet. She heard it, a whisper, not of wind, but of something older, something calling her name. She stood alone between yesterday and today, and her mission had already begun. Major Ayla moved cautiously across the frozen bridge of sea ice, each step echoing in her mind like the ticking of an unseen clock. She followed the tracks that led toward Big Diomede, her breath steady, controlled, yet a pulse of unease trembled beneath her armor. She had been trained to decode enemy movements, but these prints held no rhythm, no pattern. They wandered as if the maker was lost or being led by something unseen ahead. The mist thickened, a pale veil between two days. She checked her compass. It spun slowly, useless in this place where time bent. She lifted her radio, static again, no signal, only a faint murmur like distant breathing. She paused, kneeling to inspect a shard of broken metal buried in ice, Russian markings, fresh blood smeared across its edge. She scanned the horizon, no bodies, no struggle, only silence, a silence too complete to be natural. Then she heard a faint yet distinct footsteps behind her. She turned, rifle raised, nothing, only wind dragging ghost-like through the white, yet the snow behind her was untouched. She resumed forward, pacing herself against the cold, her endurance tested by terrain and thought. What pulls men from reason, what drags them into myth? Soon she reached a fractured ice ridge beyond the boundary of tomorrow. She hesitated. Once one step would carry her not just into Russian territory, but into a day that had already happened. She felt the weight of unseen eyes. The whisper returned, softer this time, almost familiar, calling her by name, Ayla, as if memory itself was speaking. She steeled her breath, crossed the ridge, and entered today. The mist thickened like a living breath, swallowing sound and horizon. Major Ayla advanced, slow, controlled, scanning for movement. The world here felt suspended, as if breath held between moments. She found the first relic of the missing team, a torn backpack frozen in ice, Russian insignia half buried. She crouched, tracing the frayed strap, signs of panic, torn, not placed beside it. A journal, its pages stiff with frost. She opened it, careful, no words, only frantic lines drawn in circles, spirals, a single repeated figure, a man standing between two shadows. She closed, a pulse steady but mind alert. These men had not died by storm, something else had taken them. She heard a brittle crack behind, turned quickly, nothing but a distant figure standing atop the ice ridge. She lifted her rifle, called out, no reply. The figure vanished without motion, only gone. She pushed forward, drawn by radio static, now faint but present. Words ghosted through the frequency. We followed him. He walked from tomorrow. Her breath caught. She reached a weather station, ruined, torn apart as if by claws, but no animal left such marks. Metal bent outward, not inward. Something had forced its way out. She entered, hand on trigger, walls etched with messages carved by blade. Time is not a line, it circles. She felt the air colder, as if memory itself froze. Something moved in the corner of her, in not shape but presence. The wind carried her name again, Ayla, softer now, almost pleading. She stepped back, heart steady but breath shaking. This was no mission of rescue, this was pursuit of a man who walked across days. Major Ayla moved beyond the weather station into the deeper veil of tomorrow. Each breath felt borrowed, as if the air itself did not agree with her presence. The ice beneath her boots began to change, smoother, older, untouched not by storm, but by silence. She spotted more footprints, large, controlled, but paired with another set, smaller, stumbling as if dragged. She followed until the prints ended at an opening in the ice, a fissure descending into darkness. She descended, careful, rifle aimed, pulse unwavering. The air below was warmer, wrong, lit by a glow like fire without flame. Deep within she found remnants of camp lanterns, journals, empty cups abandoned in mid-use, but no bodies, only a trail of ashes leading onward. The radio crackled again, this time a voice clear, resigned. He said he came from tomorrow. We followed, but he has no yesterday. It died. The signal cut, noise returned. Ayla advanced, heart calm, mind sharpened. She entered a chamber of ice, walls smooth like mirrors. Her reflection stared Back but behind it another figure, a man tall, unmoving, eyes hollow. She raised her weapon. He did not flinch. He whispered, not with lips, but through her. Time broke. Here we are stranded. She stepped closer, but he faded like breath on glass, leaving only his words carved on the wall. We walk in circles until memory forgets us. Her hands tightened. This was no lost soldier. This was something unbound, something that had crossed the line between days and forsaken return. Major Ayla stepped out of the ice chamber, the air heavier now, as if each moment resisted her presence. She understood the truth too late. The man they followed was not from tomorrow. He was trapped between days, neither past nor future, a fracture in time. She reached the final ridge, overlooking Big Diomede, a settlement, lifeless structures buried in snow, untouched for years, yet smoke curled faintly from a distant chimney. She advanced, pulse held in iron control, drawing nearer. Lone cabin, door ajar. Inside, maps, diaries, clothes set neatly as if their owners stepped out moments ago. She found a final journal page, scrawled with trembling hand. He said we would escape time if we crossed forward, but he lied. We did not move ahead. We fell behind. Yesterday took us trapped before our own footsteps. Ayla turned, hearing the floor creak behind her. A figure stood, not ghost, not fully man, eyes ancient, skin pale. He spoke without sound. You came seeking tomorrow, but you cannot outrun what you have already lived. He stepped closer, but his feet made no imprint. She aimed, but her rifle felt weightless, useless. He drifted past her toward the door, fading into daylight where his shadow pointed not forward, but back along her own trail. She saw them, then footprints, her footprints circling, returning to places she had not yet walked. She staggered outside the horizon, spinning. Little Diomede, distant yet unreachable. She tried her radio, only her own voice answered, echoing from earlier calls. She was already heard. Before she had spoken, she stood at the boundary of days, realizing the final mission was not to cross, but to remember, to hold ground against forgetting or be erased like those before her. She marked her name on the ice. Major Ayla Rehman, present between yesterday and today, refusing to disappear. The wind carried it onward, not as warning but witness.